Last but not least, this week, I'm going to talk about something called a great tech resignation. In America, there's been a massive change, I guess, since COVID. That historically, we all know that a lot of the growth in the world's economy has been through tech. It's the Facebooks, Amazons, Googles, whichever. And at the moment, especially, there is a huge amount of investment capital, people looking to fund, especially because interest rates have been so low, fund new developments, new companies, whichever. And basically what it's done is actually create a bit of a whirlwind, a hot point for basically fight for talent. But what's been interesting is that on two different levels, and it's been led in America, specifically in the tech sector because of the investment. But basically in September this year, 4.4 million people quit their jobs, either to take a career break or to move companies. But that's a huge amount. And if you actually look at some of the figures, for every 7 people in the USA, there are 10 jobs. So what that means, if you are looking for a job, means that there's actually more choice out there. You can actually be more kind of picky. But then likewise, if you're the employer, how do you actually create the environment to attract investment, actually retain good staff when you've also got margin pressures? And it's a really interesting dynamic that's going on. But the other thing which really kind of caught my eye, so I actually got this from a Bloomberg video and article which I watched earlier in the week, is that of the 4.4 million people that quit their jobs, over 50% aren't actually looking to get another job for at least 6 months. So that's mind-blowing in some ways, because what you've got, that's an economy that is already short-staffed if you look at it. But because of the environment, it could be to do with COVID, it could be to do with how people are really starting to kind of reassess their lives and what's important to them and what they want to do and how they want to spend their time. And I guess for a lot of people, they're also affluent enough that they can afford to take 6 months off, which would be cool. I might do that today. I'll just quit. That's it. But actually, it's just as a dynamic for a whole economy, it's really interesting. And then the other side to it as well, even people who are still in jobs, 7 out of 10, so 70%, are still looking to switch jobs, or they have a plan to switch jobs in the next year, probably for a pay rise or progression or whichever. So again, even if you are an employer and you've got a team and nobody's left, a fair percentage of them probably they've got an eye out to see what else is out there. And although these stats, which is what I got from Bloomberg, are about the US, I do think this will be true in the UK as well. One of my clients is a recruitment firm called Westray Recruitment, who are actually based upstairs. But it's true across the industry that there are, what was the stat? It was 1 million available jobs in the UK, and this was like a month ago. But actually, there's a lot of jobs out there. A lot of people are quite selective, but ironically, after COVID, a lot of people also don't want to switch jobs. So there's this huge kind of dynamic. So actually, what do you do if you're a person? Basically, as I mentioned before, if you're not happy what you're currently doing, you don't feel you're getting valued or paid, you're not enjoying it, the pressure's too high, and you're not really learning what you want to do, yes, there are options out there for you. But actually for employers, historically, and this is one of the big tech things, is tech companies were famous for doing, people used to joke about beanbags, but creating a really nice work environment that people liked to come into, they felt involved, it was a nice place to be, that actually the onboarding procedure and the prestige of tech and the culture that they kind of built was a big selling point, plus the salaries were good. But the truth is, with COVID and a lot of people have started to work from home, a lot of those benefits have actually started to dry up because people are working from home more. They've lost a lot of the office culture type stuff. That actually there's a lot of things that employers can do to really try and bring that back, to make people feel valued. Because whilst in the short term, some people might worry about, but there's the cost of paying for it, and what if people leave, or what if people, it's less efficient. But the truth is, for most businesses, your biggest risk is actually loss of staff, because that can topple the whole kind of thing. An interesting stat actually was that of everyone surveyed, 75% of people actually felt that the company put more effort into attracting new employees than staff retention. And I'll be honest, I think that's actually true. I think too many companies almost take for granted their current team, that they don't make them feel wanted and valued and whichever. And actually that's an easy switch. In theory, it doesn't have to cost anything. But again, it's the staff engagement, it's listening to people, it's asking, how you're getting on, is there anything we can do to help you feel like you can develop, etc., will be a massive plus. But the other thing which is really interesting is that 62% of people actually felt that more kind of learning and development in their role would make them want to stay. 62%. And considering you've got 4.4 million people who recently kind of quit their jobs and, moved on, that's a hell of a lot of people. What's that? It's a quick maths. 2.3 million-ish people of the group who are more likely to stay if they feel like they're learning and developing. So actually, it was only when I was writing these slides, part of the reason why I created this is that, yes, it was ironically created for people going through the career looking to learn skills, launch a business, and help reach that next level. But one of the things that actually twigged when I was actually writing this article and writing the notes for this is that 62% of people are more likely to stay in their business if they feel like they're learning and developing, that kind of thing. Courses like the Roadmap, but others which are alternatives to a traditional MBA. Most businesses probably can't afford to pay big money and have staff out of the business for a year and a half, a year, 2 years, depends on what kind of program you do. But you can do something like this or the Open University to work around your own commitments. But those kind of investments from employers in their team are recognised, and it will make you more attractive as a place to work than places that don't. And it was the stat, completely independent of me, that Bloomberg kind of mentioned. I just thought it was really interesting for this topic, that I think globally at the moment, a lot of people will be looking at how do they attract new staff, how do they keep the staff they've got, how do they make them feel valued, and how do they grow the business off the back of it. And learning and development is a great way to do that, especially if it doesn't take up work kind of time.